TV7 Israel News is made possible thanks to your generous donations. Shalom, good evening. This is TV7 Israel News broadcast to you from Jerusalem, and in today's top stories. Israeli efforts to root out terror elements throughout Judea, Samaria, and the Jordan Valley persist with full force. The U.S. military is considering to deploy Marines on cargo vessels in the Persian Gulf for the purpose of protecting maritime shipping against Iranian piracy. Despite U.S. sanctions supposedly crippling Iran's economy, a lack of enforcement reportedly drove Iranian oil exports to China to almost triple over the course of this past year alone. Israeli efforts to root out terror elements persist with full force. IDF, ISA, and Border Police Special Operations units conducted counter-terror activities in the West Bank districts of Judea and Samaria, during the course of which a total of 5 suspected terror operatives were apprehended. During one operation in the city of Tulkarem, Palestinian suspects opened fire and hurled explosives toward an Israeli force that responded with live fire. While no injuries were thankfully reported among the Israeli troops, one Palestinian assailant was reportedly killed, while others sustained injuries. In other news, an almost unprecedented situation may reportedly emerge in the next few weeks in which the Jerusalem government, on behalf of the Biden administration, will lobby the U.S. Senate to support an emerging agreement between the United States and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, a deal that would also include overt normalization with the State of Israel. According to a report by the Israeli Yediot Ahronot Daily, citing a high-ranking Israeli official, normalization between Jerusalem and Riyadh is evidently contingent on the latter's aspiration to gain a defense pact with Washington, a move that requires approval by a special two-thirds majority of the U.S. Senate, namely 67 senators. And while the Biden administration enjoys a meager majority in the Senate, prospects of it gaining enough support for an agreement with Saudi Arabia are evidently close to none. Therefore, to secure outstanding support from the Republican senators in particular, per the report, the Biden administration is seeking Israeli assistance. Nevertheless, in separate conversations with an Israeli official and an American official who spoke to TV7 on condition of anonymity, they both highlighted that prospects of passing a U.S.-Saudi defense pact would be extremely difficult, especially under the current administration in Washington. With that being said, Israeli Foreign Minister Eli Cohen asserted last night that it is in the U.S.'s interest to promote a peace agreement between Saudi Arabia and Israel, since it will contribute to regional stability, lower the price of global energy, and will effectively constitute a major achievement for President Biden ahead of the election. Jerusalem's top diplomat further stressed that it is also in Saudi Arabia's interest to reach such an agreement, no less than it is for Israel, since it will undoubtedly help Riyadh contend with its main threat, namely the Islamic Republic of Iran, and will open the door to new possibilities of economic and technological cooperation with the Jewish state. Moreover, according to Minister Cohen, other Muslim countries from Africa and Asia will undoubtedly join such an American-brokered agreement. In other yet related news, the United States military is reportedly considering deployment of troops on commercial vessels traveling through the Strait of Hormuz in yet another measure aimed at deterring Iran from illicitly seizing vessels as part of the Ayatollah regime's practice of hostage diplomacy. While such a deployment of U.S. Marines on commercial vessels would not be unprecedented, Pentagon Press Secretary Brigadier General Pat Ryder did not confirm or deny whether such a deployment would take place.
Yeah, I've seen those press reports. I would tell you I don't have any announcements to make regarding any force posture changes. As you are tracking, we previously announced the decision to deploy the Bataan Amphibious Readiness Group Marine Expeditionary Unit into the area of responsibility there, as well as F-35s, F-16s, and A-10s. But as it pertains to that particular reporting, I don't have anything to provide.
General Ryder went on to highlight that the U.S. military increased presence in the Gulf, where a coalition of partners under CENTCOM's umbrella coordinates security measures, provides capacity to respond quicker to any potential provocations, and to deter any type of Iranian aggression.
By increasing the presence, by working with our partners in the region, and stepping up the tempo and pace of our patrols writ large around the region. The intent, again, is to be closer, to be able to respond quicker to any potential provocations and to deter any type of Iranian aggression. And it's important to see it through the lens of we're not doing this by ourselves. We're doing this as part of a coalition in the region to ensure that the Strait of Hormuz remains open, that there's freedom of navigation, and that we're deterring any type of malign activity.
While tensions are seemingly high in the strategic Persian Gulf, Iran's Revolutionary Guards Navy has unveiled new vessels equipped with missiles capable of hitting targets of up to 600 kilometers away. The RGC made the announcement during a military exercise off the coast of Abu Musa Island, which is one of 3 Gulf islands under Iranian control that are disputed by the United Arab Emirates. Nevertheless, while Abu Dhabi maintains its claim over these 3 islands, the RGC's Navy commander, Ali Reza Tangsiri, defiantly proclaimed, quote, "The islands of the Persian Gulf are part of Iran's honor, and we will defend them." Meanwhile, UAE President Hamad bin Zayed Al Nahyan visited the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan this week, where he was warmly welcomed by King Abdullah II. During the course of his visit, President bin Zayed and King Abdullah held extensive talks related to regional issues, as well as aspirations by both leaders to deepen relations between Abu Dhabi and Amman. In other news, despite U.S. sanctions supposedly crippling Iran's economy in an attempt to pressure the Ayatollah regime to forgo its nuclear weapons ambitions, alongside other malign activities, lacking vigorous enforcement reportedly drove Iranian oil exports to China in particular to almost triple over the course of this past year alone. Nevertheless, in spite of these figures, the United States continues to grant waivers to countries in the region that seek to maintain limited business opportunities with the Islamic Republic. Among those countries include Iraq, which imports natural gas from its eastern neighbor.
Iraq has bilateral relationships with Iran. What we have always said is we would like for those bilateral relationships to be a normal relationship that reflects Iraqi sovereignty. We haven't always seen that in the past. You've seen us implement policies to try to prevent or lessen or mitigate the way that Iran tries to gain leverage against Iraq. And so to the extent there are bilateral relationships between the country, we hope that it would be one that respects, as I said, Iraqi sovereignty. The electricity waiver provided to Iraq last month allows for the transfer of funds from Iran's restricted accounts in Iraq to restricted accounts in select third country banks. This is something I've spoke to previously from the podium. Prime Minister Soudani has demonstrated commitment to strengthening Iraq's energy security, and this mechanism is only one way we are seeking to alleviate Iranian pressure on Iraq. We work closely with Iraq to ensure these energy payments are managed in a manner consistent with U.S. sanctions and cannot be diverted for illicit means, and we remain supportive of transactions for humanitarian goods and will continue to engage with the Iraqi government on these complex issues.
Well, the electricity waiver essentially means that Iran could use the money to purchase humanitarian goods from third-party countries. The Islamic Republic opted to barter the majority of its goods rather than remain liable to American limitations, since Washington refuses to grant Baghdad an exemption to directly transfer funds to Iran.
Considering the mechanism for transfers and its complexity, we did not achieve to get the approval for the transfer of all the dues in order to ensure the continuity of supplies of gas from the Iranian side. So the decision was taken to stop the gas supplies by more than 50%. It clearly impacted power production. We will give crude oil, black oil, in exchange of gas, Iranian gas. This way, we will ensure that we preserve the continuity of gas supply, and at the same time, we meet our financial obligations for this imported gas.
مستحقات هذا الغاز المستورد.
The border deal was reached last month during talks with an Iranian delegation in Baghdad. Thank you for watching TV7 Israel News. I would like to encourage you, if you're blessed by our productions and would like to help support this donor-based organization, namely TV7 Israel, please consider making a donation. You can do so by visiting our website at www.tv7israelnews.com. Separately, I would like to encourage you, pray for the peace of Jerusalem and salvation of Israel. Jonathan Essen wishing you a Shabbat Shalom u'Mevorach, and God willing, we'll see you again on Monday at the same time.